Then de Klerk came to Boipatong, but his gesture of sympathy was met only with anger. An hour after de Klerk left, the police opened fire. Then an officer shouted in Afrikaans, "Who told you to shoot?" Then no one gave the order to shoot. When Mandela came to Boipatong a few days later, it was clear that the people were not interested in any more talking.
The negotiation process is completely in tatters. I can no longer explain to our people why we continue to talk to a government, to a regime, which is murdering our people. His method of bringing about a solution in this country is war. We are going to respond to that.
This was Mandela's referendum. The ANC campaign of mass action brought him to the steps of the capital in Pretoria.
The government must now accept that we want peace, standing on our feet, not kneeling on our knees. The ANC.
De Klerk was in his office above. There was an urgent need to come together, but the legacy of 2.5 years of confrontation would lead to one more tragedy. The ANC wanted to challenge government-allied homeland leaders on their own ground. They set out to march to the Ciskei, guarded by Brigadier Gozo's troops. The ANC leaders had a court order restricting their protest to a football stadium. They believed the Ciskei soldiers were no threat.
We were all convinced that they were demoralized, that they would not shoot at their own people because they had relatives amongst those people who marched there, and that they would not accept orders, to mow down people who were not, fighting and carrying weapons.
Suddenly, a group of militant ANC officials led a charge towards the capital, Bishu. Inevitably, forces in the South African military were blamed.
Why didn't the SADF intervene the day of the march? Why weren't the SADF troops deployed on the ground, knowing the track record of the Ciskei Defence Force being a Mickey Mouse rabble that will shoot if they feel threatened?
If the government had a part in this, how could the ANC keep talking to them? But where had the ANC led its people? And without talking, where might it all end?
We hate the clerk. We hate apartheid. We hate capitalism. And we shall continue doing that until we defeat this government. We are fighting against the clerk because we don't want to share power with him. People cannot share power with the enemy. The enemy must be crushed. Come on, son! Victor! Kill the man! Kill your maruma! Kill my son! Kill the man! Kill the woman! The papa!
It had been 3 years since de Klerk had promised his white supporters that he would lead them safely through great changes. The old orders still seemed intact, but behind the scenes, government and ANC negotiators were agreeing to create a coalition government for a limited period of 5 years. In early 1993, de Klerk presided over the last white parliament.
The government has a clear mandate for the constitutional model towards which it is working. Power sharing, strong regional government and checks and balances to prevent...
The phrases were familiar and reassuring, but de Klerk had been forced to settle for less than he'd hoped. Still, he'd persuaded the ANC to accept a form of federalism, but he had no white veto. And now he had to keep his bargain to bring the security forces under joint control in an ANC majority government.
The simple truth is that a devastating war will ensue if negotiation does not succeed.
The National Party has declared in favor of a non-racial democracy, and we must accept that that is what they want. And therefore, it's natural, at least for the first 3 to 5 years, to have a government of national unity.
Not everyone was pleased with the news. The idea that the ANC and the government could work out a deal without him infuriated the head of Inkatha. Buthelezi wanted to be treated as a major player in the future government.
We don't question the right of any party, including the ANC, to have any discussion with the government. But we resent that any party with the government should reach an understanding and make a decision which impacts on the rest of South Africans without any representation of the rest of us. That is the crux of this demonstration.
Buthelezi still has to prove his support beyond his regional base in an election. And in Natal, his bitter war with the ANC will not be easily set aside. But both the ANC and the government know they have to bring him into the process. Soon de Klerk will find himself fighting for a new constituency in the first democratic elections. The man who rightly claims to have closed the book on apartheid will have to live with its legacy. And have to accept whatever power he can win from the ballot box. For Mandela, the problem will not be winning an election. It will be the expectations that come with victory. And how much he can deliver beyond hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to demonstrate to you how to go about voting. My sister here is going to demonstrate for us.
I am an ID checker. I check whether the face that is on an ID corresponds with that of an ID holder. I also check whether she or he is a South African citizen.
In a hall in a township, people line up to learn how to vote.
Hold your ballot paper so that it feeds into the ballot box. Thank you.
The song says it's time for elections, time for Africans of all races to choose our leaders and to be governed with love.